Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Transcending Humanity. Today's theme or topic, or whatever you want to call it, is We Just Have to Pee. Otherwise saying, we're going to be talking about trans people and bathrooms. The very concept terrifies conservatives throughout the world, especially this crazy... I don't have anything nice to say. So today we have myself, and I'll let everyone else introduce themselves. Start with Lisa.
Okay, I'm Lisa. I live in New York, and I am an ally to the LGBTQ plus community. I strongly believe in rights for all. This is one of the most welcoming communities I've ever been a part of. So thank you for spearheading this, Vanessa. It was a nugget that kept me awake, and when I put it out to the world, Liam, he kind of joined in with a lot of other people, and
It took
it's
off.
come to fruition. I'm so excited. So Mia, your turn.
Yes, I'm Mia, back again for episode 2. I'm actually in Denver, Colorado. So it's always a pleasure to be on these podcasts and get to talk with other individuals, whether they're on the LGBTQ spectrum, whether they're allies, whoever. It's always great to have those conversations, and I'm actually going to turn it over to Tara.
Hi, I am Tara. I apologize that I am not on camera. I'm having a little disagreement with my laptop. And it's winning the argument so far. So I called in. I am an ally. I am an ally through and through and through to all marginalized communities and humans. But have grown to know and love this group of people through LinkedIn of all things. And I will just echo the warmth and welcoming and support of the community to me when I thought I was gonna come and support them has just been amazing. And so I am thrilled that I get to be a part of this podcast and that I know these amazing people. And I I'll love. And Vanessa, can you throw it to someone? Because I can't really see.
I think I'm the only one left.
You're the only one left.
Okay, so I'm Faye. I'll go. I am trans from Texas, born and raised. Kind of spent most of like my younger years separating myself as much as I could from the community because it was not safe in country parts of Texas that I was in. And so like I did my best to live stealth and kind of experienced a lot of guilt about that later on, especially during the former administration. But yeah, love our allies and kind of got really loud about it after a certain point, especially after 30. Now I'm just like, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm here to fight everybody about it. So.
Oh, looks like Tamsyn is joining us too. So Faye is a guest, and I mean, we can always talk later too if you'd like to hop on as one of our rotating hosts too, if that'd be something that would interest you. So it looks like Tamsyn just joined us. Hello, Tamsyn. You look cute. I love your top.
Thank you. It's been warm in the Northeast, so I've been kind of...
Yeah, it was 86 here in Ohio. So
Yeah.
I was sweating.
83 here, and I actually turned on my AC. And and Faye, I'm actually from Texas also.
Where?
The San Antonio area.
Nice. Oh my gosh. I was raised just north of Houston and like the Woodlands, Conroe area, which is like
my niece lives there, and I've been going back and forth about moving back because I miss my kids. 2 of my kids live there. And then my niece has 3 little ones, and her mom passed away. So she looks to me as a figure.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's nice and cheap. There's that, there's also just a lot of it's so funny, and I don't mean to like hijack
Now you're
the
fine.
narrative here, but I would, especially in those parts of Texas, I would experience a lot of conversations where people would be like, oh, these queerosexuals, these LGBT people and they would be talking to me looking for agreement, looking for some kind of indication of what they were saying. And I'm just like, tell me more about how like enlightened you are and how they're all just please, anyway. And then like, for safety, sometimes you don't even like correct them because it's like it can turn into like a, lynch mob. So it's like but that is my thing. That's why I left Conroe. So
I being trans in Texas has to be an adventure.
oh, it was,
Um,
yeah,
just my niece identifies as queer,
yeah.
and she is scared to death. In fact,
I can imagine.
she's planning on moving up to New York at the end of the summer.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
blame
just
her.
drove for 3 days through high desert and over mountains and stuff, leaving Texas for the
Ooh,
first time like permanently, and made my way to Fresno. So
Oh, I
a lot
like
nice.
different.
Fresno.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah.
Fresno's a great place.
Yeah, everybody was like, "Oh, it's so conservative there." I was like, "Wait, did I not? You did hear me say when I said I am from Texas.
Yeah.
Like these conservatives do not scare me, sweetheart."
Conservative.
Yeah.
California conservative? Where?
Yeah.
No, yeah, seriously. They're like, oh, but they're very middle of the aisle conservative. And that's what people in California think of as conservative. And I'm like,
Hmm. You ain't seen nothing.
like, and I'm not even scared of one really conservative idiot or even a few, right? But when the state
Yeah.
starts sanctioning the violence, then I'm like, okay, no.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's move on. Tamsyn, did you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. I'm a little late. I was out with my neighbors hanging out. Sorry.
Dare you? How dare you?
And
Oh,
No,
You got to be social.
I know. You social. This is my social. This is my social.
she
So
just wanted to be
okay.
fashionably late.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did. I did.
exactly. Exactly.
Thank you.
So yeah, we are transcending humanity. Today you have 6 hosts instead of 4. And so thank you everybody for being here. And I know Lisa wanted to start off with something very important, so I'm gonna let her take over.
last week, one of our own lost a child due to a motor vehicle accident. And as a tribute to our family, and as you get to know all of us, you will see how much we lean on each other as family. And especially in this podcast, because some don't have family, and we are that family for them. So we want to dedicate this episode to their memory. And we would also like to take a moment and talk about and share about the importance of becoming an organ donor. Our family members were able to donate their child's organs, so they'll live on and help others. Becoming an organ donor is super easy. Many times you can just check that box when you're filling out your driver's license information, or you can donate sign up at donatelife.com or .net, excuse me. And it's amazing. I was on their website just looking, and the statistics of those needing donors is amazing. They break it down by minute, how many get put on the list, how many pass away, etc. So we would like to encourage everyone to become an organ donor. If you can't become an organ donor, please think about donating monetarily to this organization. It's a great organization. And I put a story on LinkedIn that kind of ties into this. I was over by my old office today, and I happened to look up in the parking lot, and probably on the 6th or 7th floor, somebody had put in sticky notes, donate life. And I just thought it was so apropos that today was the podcast and we were talking this, and I made sure that our family member was aware of what was going on. So please donate life.
It's such a beautiful concept, and I'm so heartbroken for the loss that they've experienced.
It was tragic.
And so sudden. It was,
Yes.
yeah. That family member will likely be joining us on a future episode, but obviously they have a lot to process right now. So
Yeah.
so thank you, Lisa. That was
Thank you.
as soon as I saw the post about donating life, I went and signed up to be an organ donor myself, just for that reason, because I'm just like, okay, well, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
So for some reason I had been hesitant to in the past, and I'm like, no, there's no reason to be hesitant. So
That wouldn't be the
um,
first I've heard of that. What would you say, Lisa? Because I don't like hold this belief, but what would you say to those? Because I've heard people say, oh, if you put organ donor, which I have since I've had a license, and I don't believe this, but just to kind of address the other side of that, there are those with the superstition that if you put organ donor on your license, that they won't save you if
I've
you're
heard that
if you're
too.
critical.
I've heard that also. However, I don't know. I can't tell you that side of it because I personally, in my I have a medical directive for do not resuscitate. So I don't know.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
my children are very aware of my wishes that if I can be of service to others, let me.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's something that we could probably look on Snopes, but it just sounds like one of those things that's just an urban legend, So if we've all heard of it, it's an urban legend, pretty much. So, but
It's really not feasible when you think about it. I mean, doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, right?
yeah,
Exactly.
They're not going to allow someone to die that they could save because they're an organ donor. I actually my line of work is in the medical field. I actually spoke with a gentleman recently who received a liver from a 29-year-old who had unfortunately overdosed on fentanyl. And unfortunately for this gentleman, the anesthesia did not kick in quick enough, and he heard the whole conversation when they wheeled the girl into his operating room, and the doctors talked about how she died and she was only 29. And they had intubated her. He said he could see they had done everything possible, and they could not bring her back. So I don't know, but I would say it's an urban legend. I can't imagine any
Yeah.
physician risking their license.
I was an
Right.
EMT
Looked it
for
up on
20.
Snopes.
I was an EMT for 20 years, and that just never enters your mind. You're not rooting through people's pockets for licenses. You're trying to save their ass
Yeah.
Yes.
and foremost. Then you're getting them to the next level of care where they're going to do the same thing. They're not going to do that unless and until someone comes in with the DNR directive and gives it to them.
yeah.
Like if you're unconscious, they're going to save you until they're told otherwise.
You have time to start looking for paperwork.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Snopes, because I am a Snoper. If you are sick or injured and admitted, the number one priority, as Tara said, is to save you. Organ donation can only be considered after brain death has been declared by the physician, not an EMT. And many states have adopted legislation allowing individuals to legally designate their wish to be a donor should brain death occur. Although many states' organ procurement organizations also require that consent from the family.
Well,
So,
there you
makes
have it.
sense.
Organ donors are not targets for harvesting in the accredited medical field. That's great.
Well, thank you, Lisa.
Bingo.
Thank you. Yeah.
And just fun fact, do you guys know that Snopes is actually just a husband and wife team?
I've heard
No,
that.
I have heard that, yes.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
heard that.
So I don't know where they go to get their information, but Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know that they started off that way. I didn't know that they still were. So, but I guess having a small staff is probably good for something like that. So
And they do have sources listed.
yeah.
So,
Oh
because-
yeah,
because
yeah.
Tara got me concerned. I'm like, let me go look. Oh, they do have sources.
Okay. So
Uh,
let's go ahead and move on to our next part here. We reached out to our listeners, all 19 of them so far, for submissions about stories with trans people and allies or whoever, people that wanted to talk about their experiences with bathrooms. So we have Faye here today, who is one of our people that did the submission, and she asked if she could come on and tell her story herself. So, Faye, would you like to kick it off for us?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Um, so like we all just heard, I am Faye, and my story that I submitted kind of has a couple of parts. I mentioned earlier being raised in Texas. There's a lot of stories, but I'm going to try to stick to the most relevant ones. God, one of my first, what I would like call big girl jobs were was something that I got from a family friend who was in HR for what was Yellow Cab in Houston. Um, I was like 22, 21, 22 whenever I got this job, and hadn't really started like HRT or medically transitioning yet, but socially I had been presenting as female since I was 15. So I was pretty good at like knowing how to carry myself and knowing how to, for lack of a better term, pass in the world and not get questioned or clocked. So when I got this job, the interview was really less formal. It was more of just kind of a conversation and a bunch of joking with me and the manager. But there was an unspoken agreement that it would not make sense for me to use the men's room. And it was under the condition that I did not disclose my identity to other people. And they're like, yeah, it would make sense if you wanted. They'd be like, who's that girl going in the men's, right? Um, and so I didn't. And for the longest time, that worked. And it it was about a year and a half into employment there that stopped working. But during the time, kind of like I mentioned earlier, during the time that I worked there was there was another woman who was very cis that was targeted by some of the gossipers, some of the pigeons in there chirping, right? And they were like, oh, she's definitely got a penis. And they said like they could see it in the bathroom. This woman was very cis. She was kind of like alt style and punk and like in your face. But the woman that was saying these awful things turns to me and she's like, we're women, and like directs her hands to like point at both of us. She's like, we can tell. And I was just stunned. I'm like, oh my God, what? Okay. And I obviously I didn't want to like cause problems for my sister and my friend in HR and didn't really say anything, but it was all kind of surreal at that point. The other part of that is like after that I kind of felt a little less like I had to work so hard not to be clocked. Sorry, that's my mic's getting a little sensitive there. Um, but one of the women that came on later on did actually clock me. And I don't know if it was that my voice dropped a little too low. I don't really know what it was, but she never let it go. And she started following me into the bathroom anytime that I went, and she would say things like, just awful things, like there are women in here, Faye, and like or ladies. One time she's like, I dropped something and I said shit, and she's like, watch your mouth. There are ladies in here. And it had gotten so bad with her with the harassment that I was like, if you're referring to yourself, it's a very generous term, dear.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, so she kind of like was very obvious in her harassment. She never really like got corrected by anybody. Everybody just kind of ignored it. And she would sit next to me, or anytime I walked into the dispatch center that we were at, and she'd be like, you know, singing that Beyonce song, "If I Were a Boy," and just like going on and on. Eventually, this, without having the ability to go to HR and not seem like I was getting favoritism because my relative works there, um, and without having the ability to have like an open discussion about the harassment at work, I just got really depressed and ended up failing to do my job up to standard and got fired um, as a result of all of that. And it was a long time before I think I learned to find my voice and speak up for myself. Fast forward a long time after that, right? I was working still in call centers, but not making much more actually. It just kind of happened to be the types of jobs that would, you know, I could be heard and not seen and not a problem, right? And so that was like, since I had transitioned before getting my license and everything changed, that was where people were willing to put me basically. And so I was I was working at another call center, and it was like not 2 weeks into the training class, and this guy who insisted he was straight but was very effeminate, which I have no problem with, you know, breaking the binary, but it seemed very much like this individual, who shall remain nameless, was making up for something by and just trying to throw the attention off of themselves. Um, I overheard this person start telling people that they should follow me into the bathroom and like look to make sure I'm like actually using the plumbing that like would coincide with the little triangle on the door on the like I wear like, you know what I mean? So,
Oh
and
my,
this time, oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just saying, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, it was scary. I was actually kind of like, because it was in like one of the rougher neighborhoods that I've lived in that this job was, and so people were like probably inclined to just do it. And so this time, like I don't know, I didn't have any connections to HR, so I felt a lot more comfortable going and saying something without being seen as getting favoritism or anything like that. They did actually handle it the right way. And this person was no longer in class with me, needless to say. But it really boils down to the fact that like what I was doing in the bathroom is the same thing most everybody else was doing in the bathroom, with the exception of potentially some hygiene rituals. That's it. That's literally the only thing. And that's, you know, I don't know. It seems that um, there's a lot, a lot of obsession that seems unhealthy around something that we all do anyway. That's what I
It's
love about
disturbing.
being, yeah, that's what I love about being in California is that everywhere's got like all gender restrooms and single use. Um, And those are just two of the kind of more prevalent examples of how using the bathroom has cost me some of my sanity and stuff.
That's this, especially the first one, how it's like on one hand you had some gender affirmation, but at that wound up being at the expense of someone else. And it's just people, I mean, we just want to use the bathroom. The most that anyone should be concerned about someone else in the bathroom is make sure that they courtesy flush if they're taking a giant dose. That's about it. So
Yeah, and please
thank
don't leave a mess on the seat for me. That's it.
yeah, exactly.
That exactly. And
Especially I don't want to go into a men's room again with all that. They're so disgusting. So
the women can be just as bad.
oh yeah, I know they
Oh,
can
yeah.
be too.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And
But
it cracks me up because I was just in the airport bathroom not too long ago. And I'm the type that I will take paper towels and wipe up after myself.
Mhm.
No, there was water. I mean, you could not put anything anywhere. There was so much water. And I'm just like, okay, translate that to a toilet seat.
No.
What aren't you doing when you're going pee?
Yeah.
And I will speak from a cis woman, I would rather share a bathroom with a trans person than a cis male.
Mm.
And I say that because I have watched an attack happen and have been almost attacked. So my whole thing, and I had told the LinkedIn group this, I said, my whole thing, I don't care. You're in there to do your business. If you and I happen to be washing our hands at the same time, I'm either going to compliment you on your makeup, your outfit, or your shoes.
Yeah.
Because I don't care. You're a person. You are a human being. I don't care if you're, if you're trans, if you're gay, if you're whatever, I don't care. Just be a kind person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it blows my mind how out of proportion. And I will agree, Republicans, how out of proportion they blow this. And then I can't remember, I don't remember who it was, posted about, was it still Missouri, Vanessa, that the guy defended 12-year-old marriages for 12-year-olds getting married?
It's so hard to keep up.
They're
I
all
know, they're
kind of
all
creepy like
maybe.
that.
I think it was
Yeah.
Missouri.
Oh,
Yep.
God.
And
I
I'm
honestly
like,
couldn't believe I was reading that. It's like, how can somebody
Ew.
actually? Oh, they're still married. I'm still missing something here. The 12-year-old thing. That's wrong.
yes.
That's so wrong.
And-
They're not even they're not even pubescent yet. Like, stop it. Like,
Yeah.
that's
But yet,
they're children. They're babies.
trans youth aren't old enough to make a decision about hormones.
Thank you.
No, Lisa,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. I wanted to use your example to kind of say, like, an actual predator is not going to trip about a misdemeanor for being caught in the wrong restroom. They're about to go commit a felony or try to
Mhm.
and attack someone. So if their intent is to attack you, it doesn't, whoever they are,
Exactly.
they don't give a shit about being in the wrong bathroom. So that's just defeating what their argument is invalid is all.
They're not going to bother going on HRT and transitioning and all that stuff just to go into another bathroom. They're just going to go in.
Yeah.
And that's what
Exactly.
happens. I still haven't seen any statistics of our community or the drag community assaulting anyone in a bathroom, but it's all there's a Facebook tag group that I just love. It's called Conservatives Making Things Up and Getting Mad About It. That's exactly what's happening. But the problem is that is costing lives.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they
I-
don't care.
I responded to this woman who was on Instagram making very much that point, making shit up and then being mad about it.
Mhm.
And I was like, and she's like, oh, so you can go in there and, like, flash somebody, but if I have something to say about it, then I'm the asshole. I'm like, first of all, nobody's advocating for somebody to get to flash you. And secondly, this has never happened. A trans person has never came into the locker room and flashed you. That's just not true. You're making shit up, and it's actually hurt. People are getting hurt because of
Mhm.
It is.
the shit that you
Yeah.
make up and tell to the village idiots
Mhm.
who then turn around and grab their torches and pitchforks. Like, this is stop it.
And they play
And-
the game telephone, and it
Yeah,
gets
I was just going to say
totally-
that. The rumor mill. Yeah, because it's just everything's going to get just blown out of. Trust me, for any, if there is a conservative person listening to this, which I really hope that we do get some conservative people listening to this so they can learn. Trans people in the bathroom are terrified to be in there because we don't know what's going to happen to us, but we still need to pee. And a lot of times, one of the stories that we're going to be reading here is someone who goes by uses he them pronouns, or transmasculine, and a lot of trans men look like they'll have a full beard. And do you really want someone with a full beard in the ladies' room with you? A lot of these, I think, trans men are in general forgotten about by these policies. They're targeted more at trans women. because you're a man in the ladies' room. No, we're not men, and we just want to pee. And if we go into the men's room, there's a very good chance that we will be assaulted. So
Exactly.
there's no
That's
good
so
answer
terrifying.
for it. It is. There's no good answer for it. So that's why, on road trips, we're just always looking for a Starbucks because we know we can pee there. So
I mean,
Speaking of road trip, oh, go ahead, Tamsyn.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was Mia. Speaking of road trips, I had an experience that I thought was going to be the one. We all have that one that we're feeling like it's going to be the fight. I was on like a 3-hour road trip from the beach to another to Austin, back to Austin in Texas, and it was in the middle of the country. And I was like, I had allergies, so I was sniffling, and I was holding my wallet kind of like up close to my face where people wouldn't just look too closely, because I was a little rough from being at the beach, all weekend. And this woman takes a double take at me while I'm standing in line. I'm like, this is it. This is the moment. I'm gonna have to run. And she's like, don't cry. It's gonna be okay. She was so sweet. And I was like, oh, I have allergies. I'm not crying, but thank you. And please stop looking at me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to comment on the points that Vanessa was making as far as, that hypocritical double standard where we can't have a trans woman go in the women's bathroom because they're a man, they got to go in the men's bathroom. But yet we'll take a trans man who, again, will be presenting very masculine, and we could have them go in the ladies' room, and all of a sudden that's supposed to be okay. They'll be fine with that. There's a lot of that. We make a decision where we want to be divisive or exclusionary about one group of people, but yet they don't understand the whole range of repercussions that has. We see it on a lot of topics outside of just bathroom bills, things like, the 10 Commandments in, government spaces. Well, but why did they get to put this statue of Baphomet up? Well, because it's freedom of religion. You didn't think of that, did you? And it's very, the knee-jerk reactions to make it happen are mind-boggling.
yeah.
And even going on the point that we've been talking about being terrified to go in the bathroom at work, when I transitioned, the employees that I worked with, it was the most phenomenal experience that I think an individual could have. I was so elated. It still took me a month to go to the bathroom, the non-gender neutral bathroom, and I literally had to talk to one of my coworkers and says, hey, I'm scared to go in the bathroom because, more than my department shares that restroom. They're like, come on, we're taking a ladies trip into the bathroom. And that was the thing. After that, it's like, oh, there's nothing to be scared of in here. But even being my age, even being in an environment that was absolutely accepting, it was still terrifying. So as I prepare for business trips, as I prepare actually for road trips, I'm actually having to look at maps now and figure, how do I have to reroute this trip? Because there may be some places it's going to be illegal for me to go to the bathroom.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to piggyback on some of the stories again, as a cis het woman. I actually was assaulted in a bathroom of a bar, and someone had put something in my drink, and so that happened, and I would have given anything to have any woman walk into the bathroom that night and help me. Trans, cis, whatever, I don't care. If someone had come in, the threat in my mind, and I know that this is not a popular opinion with a lot of, particular conservatives, but cis het white males are the biggest threat in my mind as a woman. That is who scares me. A trans woman she's not going to place herself into a community that is under attack so that she can get into a ladies room and peek at some angles under the door because ladies don't stand at urinals. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And I'm sorry, I can't remember who said it, but predators and true evil people, they don't follow rules. So banning a trans person from the bathroom, who are you helping? You're making their life impossible. And how are you doing anything for the rest of us? I could give two shits who's peeing next to me. But a cishet man just walking in is terrifying. And to me is the real threat. I haven't really been able to find literature on trans people attacking others. You're talking about half of 1% of the entire population, so you're not going to see a lot anyway. But I really haven't been able to find anything like that, and would be interested if someone did, because that's not the threat to me.
Yeah.
That's just a fellow woman in the bathroom.
As prevalent as that narrative is, I would definitely like to see some literature around that myself.
Yes.
So when you find it,
Yeah.
let me know.
Exactly. They've never, you'd think it would be brought up, it would be shown all over the place if it were actually a thing, because with all these bathroom laws going out, but it's always the cishet men. It's just like the shooting thing. You know, they latched onto the one trans or quote unquote trans shooter, and they're like, it's the trans agenda. 98% of the shooters are men. Just yeah, it's like no.
And I still highly question whether that person was trans. They are not alive to say so.
Yeah.
And it happens to be in Tennessee, where they've basically banned being trans. It's pretty convenient timing to
Very
have
much
something
so.
terrible happen and blame it on a trans person. That it's interesting to me.
You know, but even on that point,
tragedy, but yeah.
Very much a tragedy. But even on that point, I mean, what they've got maybe 4 trans individuals that have done an act of violence like that, compared to thousands that have been done by non-trans individuals. So really, where's the threat? Same thing with, you know, sexual assaults and things like that. Where's the threat? But we got to blame somebody else, because we can't blame us.
Yeah,
It's the age-old
exactly.
adage of like minorities being pathologized.
Yes.
In the same actions which like cis white men are not pathologized. They are let's understand them. Let's find out what's going on with the mental health problems and everything. But no, everybody else is pathologized.
Yeah, yeah. It's because minority majority. So I do want to make sure that we include Micah's story. This was from our other listener submission from Micah, and Micah, he, they. So I'm just going to read their story really quickly. They said, I didn't come out as transmasculine until I was about to turn 25. I had already been at my job for a year before coming out, which made me feel kind of unsure of what to do when it came to the bathrooms. I, like many others, was more concerned with others' comfort level than my own. My team sat on the 3rd floor, and the only inclusive bathroom was on the 1st floor. 7 months or so go by, and I'm still using the inclusive restroom because a good portion of my team was still regularly misgendering me. Around this time, I had an opportunity to go on a business trip to Chicago. Cut to Chicago, everyone is gendering me he, they immediately, and no one is slipping up. The last night I'm there, the training group of 20 plus people all went to go to karaoke. We're at this bar, and I really have to pee. I feel pretty confident after a week of everyone respecting my pronouns, and I go into the men's room, and before I even step foot in it, I see a single stall with an out of order sign on it. I'm frustrated, but at the end of the day, it was like, I just have to go. So I've used the women's restroom several times since they did not have a gender neutral bathroom. We're just about to head out, and myself and one of my colleagues are having a conversation and walk into the bathroom together. As we're walking in, one of the bouncers runs after me and grabs my arm, starts to yank me out, saying I can't be in there. I'm immediately so embarrassed and was fortunate that my colleague stood up for me. We left the bar right after. What an experience. Thank you for letting me share, Micah. So that's a interesting situation too, because a trans mass, there's when it comes to the biology of having to pee and your factory installed equipment that you have, you can't stand up at a urinal, so you have to have a stall, which honestly I think all bathrooms should just have stalls anyways. It's a whole other story about standing next to someone, peeing. No, but or at least they need to have those fucking dividers, which it should be illegal not to have a divider. But that's a whole other whatever. So thank you, Micah, for sharing your story. I was really glad that we were able to get a story from a trans mass person, because that's in our current little microcosm here that we have. We don't have trans mass on this episode, but we do have some on staff. So, okay, so let's see, moving on. We don't have a ton of time left, but I don't mind if we go over. So we've been talking about the bathrooms, and right now the two heavy ones are Arkansas and Florida, to the point where really we can't go there. And Equality Florida just issued a travel warning for the queer community overall yesterday, which is Wednesday, due to the spike in hateful legislation. And they said about that, so today, Equality Florida took the unprecedented step of issuing a travel advisory to individuals, families, entrepreneurs, and students, warning that Florida may not be a safe place to visit or take out residence. The advisory comes after passage of laws that are hostile to the LGBTQ plus community, restrict access to reproductive health care, repeal gun safety laws, and allow untrained, unpermitted carry and foment racial justice. The governor has also weaponized state agencies to impose sanctions against businesses large and small that disagree with his attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Florida has recently adopted a slate of hateful laws and is fast-tracking additional measures that directly target the rights of LGBTQ plus individuals and basic freedoms broadly. Already, those policies have led Florida parents to consider relocating prospective students to cross Florida colleges and universities off their lists, events and conferences to cancel future gatherings, and the United States military to offer redeployment for service members whose families are now unsafe in the state. That's something I did not know, and I'm good on the military for doing that. So,
I find it amazing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Vanessa.
No, I saw Faye talking.
Oh,
Faye was intentionally on mute, and I was just kind of mouthing like, oh my God. But yeah, it's surprising that the military took those steps. It's really, I'm proud of them.
But it's also making me really wonder about just how far the governor can go. Because when you look at, he's weaponizing state agencies to take action against businesses, large and small. How does he have that right? These are businesses that are not state driven.
Yeah.
They're creating income for the state, but they're not state-owned businesses. These state agencies are going in, and it sounds like martial law.
Yeah.
Unprecedented
really
level of fascism, I think,
yeah,
in American politics.
And he's doing it because he knows he can. And yeah, eventually some lawsuits can pop up that might slap him back away, but the legal system is so slow that I'll just do what I want, and try to stop me. The only way that we can stop him is to vote that fucker out.
I mean, the thing is with it as well is, it's that old bullying mentality. Businesses, I mean, I work for a Fortune 200 company, and even sometimes a company that large and that successful will not take a stand up to something like that because of the potential financial impact it could have by them having that type of a position. And he knows that. And these other governments, state governments know that. So that's how they get away with it. And back on the military aspect, my mind is blown that the military does this now, because I specifically went into the Marine Corps to not be who I am now. And I saw what happened to people that got caught during that time. And then for that to do a 180, and now the military's no, we got to take care of everyone here. It's like, boom, this is amazing. And, it's such a weird thing going on. And I mean, you're right, Vanessa, our voices have to be heard in voting. We have to stand up as a population, not as an individual, not as a single organization. It literally has to be a coordinated, we got to have a united voice on a united front. And the battle's going to be hard, because we already see with like gerrymandering and conspiracy theories and all this that go to invalidate voices that don't follow that narrative, and to sow that level of distrust. We have to speak even more, and we have to vote even stronger and get more people involved in the process, and get rid of that mentality of, oh, my vote's not going to count. Well, if everybody thinks that, of course it's not going to count.
Yeah.
But in order to get rid of these bathroom bills and everything else, we got to vote those people out of office, vote the right people into office, and then get them to work to change the bigotry and the hatred and the transphobia and all of that, because that's the only way that it's going to be effectively addressed.
And that's a whole other fight too, is the Democratic Party are just sitting back and just letting it happen, because all the politicians are bought and paid for. I consider myself a progressive over a Democrat. I vote Democrat just because that's the only thing I can do, but I'm progressive. And they've had so many opportunities to fix things when they were in control, and they just didn't. So that's the thing, is primaries, those kind of things are extremely important as well. Maybe even more so important than the main elections, in that that's where we get to root out the riffraff, root out the people that are bought and paid for. It's hard. There's just the entire system is so completely fucked and corrupt that I understand when people say that they feel like their vote doesn't matter. Because it can definitely feel that way. I was that way for a long time, as back when society considered me a white cishet guy. And but that's also the narrative that the conservatives want, is they want people to feel like their vote doesn't matter. So, but we're starting to see things.
What the media does.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then we see things like going on in Tennessee with the legislators that got booted out of the House, and now they're going back in, because that was the conservatives way overstepped doing that. I don't know what they were thinking, but it fucked them so hard, and good. I'm glad it fucked them.
Yes.
And because they created heroes out of the people that they kicked out. So
they absolutely did. And I love the speed at which it happened. This wasn't a long drawn out process.
No.
It's like, no, we're getting you voted back in there. You're representing us. Now get back there. And now the fallout's starting to happen. Just like, you're saying, you made them heroes. Just like this whole thing that's going on with Bud Light. They're getting all the publicity in the world because, somebody spent their money to go buy Bud Light to then do something to it. So for one, you supported them. And then two, your act actually brought probably more positive attention to them than negative attention. So good on you.
Well, that's an interesting thing that I forget where I was reading it today. I think it was on Instagram. But when you see large corporations doing that kind of thing, it is very purposeful, and it's not the benefit. Like the partnership with Dylan really isn't to benefit the trans community. It's when a company starts fading from the public eye, like Bud Light. Like, when's the last time you thought of a Bud Light? Until last week when they partnered with Dylan, and now they're all over the news. So Bud Light's name is right up there. So yeah, they're alienating some of their customer base, but they could be bringing on a whole more. And in the end, it's not benefiting our community because we're being put back in the fucking spotlight, and we don't want to be in the spotlight. We're already enough in the spotlight. So like, I worry about people like Dylan and anyone else that's big in the public eye just for their mental health, because they're just constantly being attacked. So we have to be careful with those and really not celebrate those companies for doing that. Because in the end, corporations are in it for corporations, not for the people. So it's almost always performative.
And you brought up a good point, the mental health. Think about that steward. I still call them stewardesses. Flight attendant who committed suicide.
Yeah.
Because everybody was dissing on her because she was trans. And it's like, this community is humans. It is a human community. It is not a robot community.
Yeah.
I think
they're
everyone
people with feelings, they bleed the same. They have the same organs other than reproductive organs. You have eyes, you have nose, you have brains. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm the same way with Tara. It is all the marginalized groups. I don't understand that mentality. Let's keep pushing. No, include them. It would be amazing what we could all learn from each other.
Yeah.
I think everyone on the call may be old enough to remember when Trans Day of Visibility was called Trans Day of Remembrance. And I fear, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but I fear that we have forgotten why it started. Because visibility without protection is no better than the treatment that you give the bait that you put on the end of your fishing line. Throwing us out there, to push the hot button, as you said, to stay relevant like Bud Light did, is only stoking the fires, and there's no one protecting us from it. They're just using us to stay relevant. And so unpopular opinion is that I feel like it should still be Trans Day of Remembrance, because the visibility itself is not saving us. The visibility itself is, in fact, probably hurting us more. What we used to do is remember the ones that have been lost to the violence that our community always has faced and has always been unsafe because of. And I just don't want people to forget that.
We do still have that. That's in November.
Oh my God, is it not the same? Yeah. They didn't switch it?
No.
Here I am with my hot take. Just kidding.
It's okay.
But no, you bring up valid.
Yeah, a thing with that, the Trans Day of Visibility is dangerous for trans people, period. Some of us embrace it to try to like more active people like us embrace it to try to get our words out there. But what it should be renamed to be is the Allies Day of Visibility, where allies show that they're not just performative, that they are genuine. That's what I would love to see, is to see Trans Day of Visibility be erased and allies of the entire Alphabet Mafia community be embraced.
Sorry,
I love that term.
I support that.
Yeah.
I am referring to us by nothing else from now on.
It's the best.
Mafia.
It's the best.
Mafia.
Well, I like to reclaim things too. Like the conservatives sometimes call us letter people. I'm like, letter people, that's fucking amazing. I love that. And
people. Cool.
Yeah.
And rock that.
I know. So we're actually over time, but I do want to just bring up something quickly with these laws where they're criminalizing. They want to criminalize, already have, and are working on criminalizing our presence in bathrooms. Where in one of these states, I don't have it in front of me, but it was originally saying that we couldn't go into bathrooms when a minor was present, and they rewrote that. We couldn't go into a bathroom with sexual intent when a minor is present.
Wasn't that Sarah Huckabee Sanders that made that modification? So would that be?
Probably.
I think that's Arkansas.
Yeah, that is Arkansas. And so there's a big gray area there. And with in Florida, it's that if we go in a bathroom and if we don't immediately leave when someone tells us, it's a second-degree misdemeanor. So in both these situations, we're being criminalized with a very heavy gray area, which is definitely put in there on purpose, because one, sexual intent, well, anyone can say anything about that, because if it's just us versus them in the bathroom and they accuse us of something, they're going to believe them. And the same with just if someone asks us to leave a bathroom, there are many cis people that present more non-binary, or there's non-binary people out there too. And there's we'd have to do is just have to frisk everybody, going in to find out this is all based on sex assigned at birth. It completely discounts intersex people. And it's just mind-boggling to the point where, are we going to wind up with bathroom vigilantes? Are we going to have these crazies with AR-15 standing outside the bathrooms, guarding them to make sure that we don't go in and pee?
Don't tempt them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what I think is going to happen. So,
Especially in your extremely conservative states.
Mhm. But I think it's
Yeah.
funny that they had to amend the bill that we can't go into the bathroom with sexual intent. Isn't that the goal for anybody going to the bathroom? Is nobody should be going into the bathroom with sexual intent, no matter whether you're transgender, whether you're cis. So it's like, why in the world do you have to put something in that should be so damn common sense that that's just the expectation? But no, we got to make sure we specifically spell it out for trans women, because evidently we're not
Because
smart
they're the
enough to figure
predators.
that out on our own.
Just in case everybody didn't
Exactly.
know, don't go be a creep. Like,
Yeah, 100%, man. It's not anyone walking in the bathroom with any intent other than to use the bathroom shouldn't be coming in.
Yeah.
newsflash, illegal things are illegal. I know.
That's right.
I
Amazing.
know.
In the end, so much of this is projection too, because the fact that these politicians are even thinking this shit up, excuse me, hopefully that didn't come through. The fact that they're thinking this up means that they're thinking of this. It means that when they think of a bathroom, they're thinking it is sexual. It's just like you see, like there'll be extremely anti-gay legislators or governors or whatever, and then they're found in their office with their gay lover, and it's because they're always projecting, is whatever is on their mind is what they're pushing on people. So there's a legislator in Ohio State rep named Gary Click, who's just a complete fucking piece of shit. That guy has secrets that he doesn't want people to know. But the fact that he's pushing this stuff so hard means that there's something up. So
The guy's 100% a groomer, and he is like, it's constantly on his mind, and that's why he accuses everybody else of it. Like Matt Gaetz and them, who's like constantly getting Botox so he can be seductive to 16-year-old girls.
Like they say, every accusation is an admission.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, my friends, we have to wrap this up. Thank you everyone for being here. Next week, I don't quite have the topic yet. We're working on, technically, Faye, you're our first guest, I would say.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I've been talking to Dr. Lulu, and she would really like to be on. And so I want to try to get more time to get guests on and arrange stuff. But when Dr. Lulu is on, I want to have a conversation about parents of trans kids and what they are seeing. So Dr. Lulu would be our guest for that. And we have our own family members here.
Yeah, I'll try to see if Lisa P, my soul sister, because her son is going through that.
Yeah.
And
So
no, he's
Yeah.
younger. He's younger
Yeah,
than
Jen-
15, but she's
Jenny would
fully
be good one to
supportive.
make sure we get on there too.
Jenny,
Vanessa.
yeah. Yeah, because that's probably one of our most topical kind of things right now, which we might even need to have multiple episodes on. I mean, I'm hoping to have a zillion episodes of this show. So this is only episode 2, and always thinking about things. People listening, if there's something that you'd like to hear us talk about, email us, let us know. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can message us there. You can find us on Facebook. We will have a website up one of these days. But
If you
yeah.
if you want to be on Instagram, Vanessa, I can run that for us.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I never thought of doing an Instagram too. So, but yeah, thank you everyone for being here. Does anyone have any final thoughts that they would like to share?
Faye, I just need to know who you are on LinkedIn so we can connect.
Oh, I think it's Faye Black. Honestly, I pay less attention to my LinkedIn than I probably should. Hold please.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's Faye Black. That's me.
I see you here.
I
I'm
have
connecting with
a
you right now.
thank you.
PNC, licensed PNC.
Yeah, that's me with
That's
the
you?
picture of the straw hat and the sunglasses.
There we go.
Okay, just connected. And then I'll send you my
you.
Instagram handle because I'm not on Facebook very often at all. So, but I do
Yeah.
am on
Facebook
Instagram.
I am only still on Facebook because that's where I get my photography business, but Facebook is so, yeah. LinkedIn is the place to be for our community. It's what I found. This is where, this
Yeah,
is where
who
we
knew,
found each
right?
other. Yeah, I know, especially like if you, this is what we talked about last week, if you would have told any of us 2 years ago that LinkedIn would be a place for us to find connections and friends and everything, I'd be like, that bullshit. So, but here we are. So again, thank you everybody for joining tonight.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to meeting for the next episode. So have a wonderful evening.
Thanks,
You
everyone.
too.
Big
Bye,
hearts to
everyone.
everybody. Mom
Bye.
hugs. Bye.